Oh, good afternoon, kiddos. All right, so today we are going to be working on Chapter 2, Lesson 3, Divide by Two-Digit Divisors, and it's in your Math Big Book, pages 69 through 72. Now, the I can statement, this is what you're going to be able to say, I can master this at the end of this lesson. It says, I can model division with two-digit divisors using base 10 blocks. Now, the key words that I want to actually point out here is modeling. So we're going to be using some pictures, specifically base 10 blocks. And we talked about those, and those are basically your flats, your longs, and then your units. Okay, so we're going to be working using a model to figure out division by a two-digit divisor. All right, so vocabulary terms, they're the same still. I just changed one of them, which is the partial quotient. This one should definitely be written down. But we have the dividend, which is the number that's being divided. And it's just important to get used to knowing these vocabulary terms for division. We have the divisor, that's the number that you divide. And then here you can see what it looks like written out. You have your dividend divided by your divisor equals your quotient. And your quotient is your answer to a division problem. And here's just an example. 224 divided by 2 equals 112. Now, in this lesson, we're going to be working with partial quotients. And it's basically very similar to multiplication, where you got partial products, where you got pieces of the answer. Now we're going to do the same thing, but this time it's quotient. So it's pieces of the division problem. And then inverse operation, as you know, and here's the illustration right there. The inverse illustration means you're going to where your multiplication and division are the opposite of each other. They basically can undo one another. All right, so go ahead and draw 14 times 15. You can use the area model. You can draw it by using arrays, whatever you prefer. Please pause it because I'm about to show you how to do this. All right, so we could have drawn, and I like to use the area model. Okay, I could do 10 plus 4 and 10 plus 5, and then I could have broken it down, and then I could have found my partial products. 10 times 10 is 100, 10 times 4 is 40, 10 times 5 is 50, and 5 times 4 is 20. And then I can add all my partial products, which gives me 210. Let me verify. Yeah, 210. All right, so we could do that. So what partial products does your picture show? And you can see it shows all the partial products of where the hundreds place, tens place, and the one. There's no ones. How can you use your partial products to find the product of 14? Well, add up the partial products and you get the answer. So multiplication and division are the inverse operations of each other. So just as you can multiply by drawing a quick picture to find the answer or the product, you can do the same thing with division. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be drawing quick pictures to find the quotient. All right, next thing on my list is we need to know the different base 10 blocks. We know them already, but it's just a good refresher to remember. So we have a large cube, which is 1,000. And that basically means that there's 10 hundreds in there, or you could say that there's 100 longs in there, or you could even say 1,000 cubes, or like little tiny units. Okay. Then we have our flat, which equals 100, when we could state that there are 10 longs in our flat, or we could also say that there are 100 in our flat. Then we move on to our long, which is the value of 10, and we could say that there are 10 units in there, and then we have our cube. Now, something really quickly, for when you're drawing this, you could just draw for your flat, just draw a large cube. For your long, you could draw a line, so that way it doesn't take too long for you to actually show every box or every unit in there. And then for the units, you can use a little circle or open circle or tiny little cube, or well, square in this case because it's not 3D. All right. All right, so we're going to be working on page 69, the investigate. So this one's a little bit different because we're going to be using base 10 models to help solve division. The problem that we have is there are 156 students in Carville Middle School chorus. The music director wants the students to stand with 12 students in each row for the next concert. How many rows will there be? All right, I love to use books because it really helps me know what I'm looking for. So I'm trying to find the rows, okay? And I'm going to underline my key information, which is 156, and then I want 12 students in each row. Then we need to circle key vocabulary, which is each, and then how many rows. And then I wouldn't really knock out too much. It doesn't seem like there's not information that's not necessary. And then state the strategy and solve. So before we work on that, let's go ahead and look, what operation do you think we're going to be using to figure out how many rows we have? Good. So you should say division. And why is it that we're using division to solve the problem? So you should notice that division includes dividing a whole, 156, into groups. Okay, so we're trying to divide that 156 into little groups or little rows that we have. Rows, yes, with 12 students in each of them. Okay, so that's why we need to divide. Now, you see on your investigate pamphlet thing here, it states that we're going to do A through E. Now, we're going to do the A part. We're not really going to work on the B, C, D, E because I'm doing this digitally, and you're going to see that I'm using the base 10 blocks. So B, C, D, and E are all like physically moving things around, which you'll see me completing. All right, so what I would like you to do in Cornell format, because it's really nice.
Sorry. Elijah Mixon, you're needed in the office. Elijah Mixon, please come to the office.
All right, so our problem here is 156 students divided by 12 students because we want to find out how many rows we have. And I have this up in the corner because I want to remember that my quotient, my queen is up in the attic, my divisor is under the visor, and my dividend is in the den. Now I'm going to go ahead and I would like you guys to draw a flat to the left side of the Cornell format notes, and then draw 5 longs because we have a 5 in the tens place, and then 6 ones or 6 units, like little dots right there. So the next thing, you don't have to draw this little box, but I did because I'm going to show you that this box here is what I'm going to try to fill my dividend with. So I'm going to try to put that flat and those 5 longs and the 6 ones in here. So think of it like kind of a house. So the dividend is inside the house. The divisor is to the left of the house, kind of like we see up here. And then we have the quotient, which is on top of the house or in the attic. Now, this is your notes. Feel free to pause it. I'm going to move on to the next thing. And it's a video of me completing this problem using the base 10 blocks online. And there is, I'm so sorry.
Melissa Zelinsky, please call the office. Melissa with ABM.
You're going to see that I use it's called learning. Well, I'll talk about it in a bit, but it's where I can use math manipulatives. All right, here's the video. Oh, I bet. Let me press play. Oh, there we go. Right, so I went ahead and moved on to this new online digital use of math manipulatives. You could definitely use this as well. It's on mathlearningcenter.org, and you can see up there the URL address right up here. All right, so I went ahead and placed on my left side column, I placed 100, a flat, because I have a 1 in the hundreds place value. I placed 5 longs because I have a 5 in the tens place, and then 6 units of tiny cubes in right here because I have 6 in the ones place. Now, remember how I just showed you in the PowerPoint that the quotient will go up here, just like, because queen goes at the top, so I'm just going to put Q, so that way we can remember that the quotient will be up there. Our divisor will be, I forgot the color of our divisor. We're going to just make it blue. Divisor will be going this way, and I'll explain how it looks. And then we have our dividend, which is in the middle, so in here. And I'm just gonna put it down here, dividend, in there, okay? So using a model, because that's what we're, our I-CAN statement states that you're gonna be able to use a model to understand division of a whole number. And so what I'm going to do here is this rectangle that you see at the right here, I placed it, it's like my little, I need to fill it up with all my 156 right here. So to start off first, though, you want to, we're going to go in and I'm going to grab from over here. We'll start off, we want to show our divisor of 12 right here on this side. And I'll try to erase that little, okay, let me try that one more time. Our divisor of 12 will be right here, okay? I gotta fix this. All right, so the way we're gonna show that using base 10 blocks is we're gonna get one flat, because we have a flat right here, you can see it, and I can cross that one out because I've used it, okay? My one flat, and then I'm gonna go ahead and, because I want 12, and you can see if you were to count it, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rows, and I need 2 more rows. So I'm going to go ahead and pull from over here, 11 and 12, because we're showing our divisor. And I'm going to go ahead and write that down, 11 and 12. Awesome, so we go ahead and cross out 2 of these because we've already used 2. Cross that one out and cross that one out. Awesome, so now that we have completed this, we see that we have used so far 120. And the reason why I know that is because my flat equals 100 and my longs equal 10. Remember, we talked about, or we talked about this in the slideshow. So that gives me 120. Now I have to finish using these ones right here, because I still had to divide these ones equally into my little board up over here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and grab some from over here, and I'm going to go ahead and place them on this side. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to go ahead and cross them out here so that way I know I used them. Now I need to go ahead and do the same thing. I need to use my 6s, and I want to make sure that they're equally distributed into my rectangle. You can kind of see that I'm making a rectangle right here. I'm just missing a little piece right in there. So let's go ahead and get these. Oh, my bad. Nope, I want to grab from here. So 1. Sorry about that. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now we can see that they're equally distributed. And I'm going to go ahead and cross all these because I've already used all 6. And now we can go ahead and see our quotient. And the way we do this is by counting how many of these columns I have. So I have 1 column of 12. And I don't think I want to do that. Nope. We're just gonna wait. Okay, sorry. Let's use this one. Let's use a highlighter type thing. So I have 1 column right through there, 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 columns of 12, or 10 columns of 12, 13, 14, 15. And that's our quotient at the top because we have 15 columns of 12. So that would be our quotient to this answer. All right. And then just to add on to that, it is a 15 columns or rows, because technically we're trying to find out how many rows we need. We need 15 rows of 12 students in each. So you could see that we have 12 students in in those 15 rows. All right, so the next step that we have here is drawing conclusions. We're just going to do the first one. Explain why you still need to make groups of 12 after, going to go back. Basically at the end, I just want to show you the little picture. Why is it that, let's go back a little bit, right here, after we finish this part, we need to add more groups, 3 more groups of 12. Good, and I explained it in the video is because right here, we still have some left over. And so we got to make sure we distribute that equally over here. And so we need to make sure that we have that. Very nice. All right, let's move on to the next problem. We have on page 70, which is make connections. I'm just going to see how much time I have. Awesome. Making connections. Now, like we saw in the last one, the investigate part, there was 2 sets of groups of 12 that you found in the investigate that are partial quotients. First, you found the 10 groups of 12, and then you found the 3 extra groups of 12. Sometimes you need to regroup before you can show a partial quotient. And in this next one, in this next problem, we are going to be regrouping. Okay, so that means when I change a 10 to units, or I change a flat to tens, or a large cube to hundreds, it just means you're moving from one place value and breaking it down to the next place value. So let's say I had 23. I can change my 20 into 21s and 3 ones. And it still gives me 23, but they're now in the ones place value. Sorry for the color on that one. Now, for this one, you see the has steps 1 all the way to 3. We're not going to be using this part. So I would like it if you just take notes in your folder. It's going to be looking very identical to the other one that we just did. All right, so first things first, you want to make sure on the left side, we don't want to forget that our quotients on top, our divisors under the visor, and our dividends in the den. Now we have 180 divided by 15, and we're going to go ahead and draw on the left 1 flat and 8 longs. So that way we have that to cross out whenever we're working on this problem. Then I have this little box here, which will be look a little different in the other page. And then just so I can remember, the dividend goes inside, so the 180 is going to go in there with them using the base 10 blocks. I'm going to have my divisor, which is 15 off to the side. So I'm going to have 15 rows, and then I have my quotient at the top, which I will find out at the end. All right, so here is the rest of this video, and this one's a lot shorter, about a few minutes shorter. Alrighty, so now we're going to move on to the next problem, which is on page 70, the making connections. And I already explained a little bit in the slideshow prior to this video. We're going to be dividing 180 divided by 15, and we're going to be using base 10 model blocks to help us model this. So we always want to start off first by, I like to label things. It really helps me when I label things. So my divisor is going to be here, so I can remember. And then my quotient, I'm just going to call it Q for queen, you know. It's going to be on top, and then my dividend will be inside. So that's basically the dividend is the base 10 blocks. Okay, and you can see over here to the left where I have my base 10 blocks, I have already 180. Here's my flat for 100. And I have 8 longs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 longs. So that would give me 180 total. Now what I'm going to do here first is I want to know that I want 15 rows. Okay, so 15 rows, and rows go horizontal. Okay, flat, laying flat. So with that, we're going to go ahead and start first with my, and I guess you could use these here. Actually, you could do where you draw this off to the side and then cross it out. Actually, I'll just stick with how I taught it. So we're going to go ahead and use one of my flats, and the one flat that I have, and then I place it there. That gives me 10 rows. Now I need to add 5 more rows, and so that means I'm going to go ahead and cross out 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to go ahead and grab some from here. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're gonna 5. All right, perfect. And I'm gonna go ahead and erase this here so that it's not in my way, and erase that so that way you guys can see my rectangle. All right, so I now have 15 rows. Very nice. So I still have 3 more longs to fit into my rectangle over here. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and let's try something here. 1, 2, 3. Huh, do you think I'm done? Well, prior to this, I did talk about regrouping. We're gonna need to regroup because look I'm missing a little gap, and that cannot happen, and I need to make sure I fill it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to regroup this 110. I'm going to put it off to the side, and I'm going to change it into ones, or into units. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that one, and I'm going to go ahead and grab 10. Sorry about that. 10 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now this would show that I've used all of my longs. I used already 180. Now to verify, to see what my quotient is, I'm going to go ahead and count how many columns I have. That means vertically. I have 1 here, 2 columns, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we know that because it's a flat. 11, 12. So then my final answer is 12. All right, I really hope that this was helpful. And if you need to use Space 10 blocks, please go to the mathlearningcenter.org. All right, so that was the end of my direct instruction. I'm placing another video in case that mine may not have been as clear. I did find this lesson a little bit difficult, but I feel that hopefully with all the different 3 models that we have that we're able to understand it. So I'm going to go ahead and press play so we can watch another individual that I found online using base 10 blocks to solve 195 divided by 13.
All right, boys and girls, what we're going to do is we're going to use things like manipulatives to help us solve this equation. Our equation is a division problem. It's 195 divided by 13. So I'm going to create a rectangle on this page using my pieces. Now because it's 195 divided by 13, I have to create 13 on this side. So I have 10, and now we're going to make 11, 12, and 13. Now you can see I have 13 units going down this side of my array. Now I want to create my rectangle to keep going this way until I have a total of 195 units. Right now I have 100, 10, 20, 30. I'm going to keep adding to my rectangle until I get to 195. So we have 110, 20, 30, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180. Now I don't want to keep going because I know I have to complete a full rectangle. And if I were to put one more and make 190, I couldn't get up to 195 with all this empty space. So I have 180, and now I'm just going to use my units to complete my rectangle. 183, 184, 85, 86, 187, 88, 89, 190, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95. Do you see that we have 195 in my array? 110, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, plus 15 is 195, divided by 13. Remember how our division is by 13. Now the cool thing is up here will be your quotient. Let's count it up. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 195 divided by 13 will be 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So our quotient is 15.
Alright, so that's the end of that video, and here's the share and show. My apologies for that lag in time. I was typing up some stuff. So here we have a share and show. You're going to go ahead and complete it. It's on page 70, number 1. Go ahead and do your best. Go ahead and press play when you're ready for the answers. Alright, there's your answer. Do the same thing for 2 to 4 on page 71. Go ahead and pause. Here's the answer. Go ahead and do the same thing for numbers 5 to 6. Pause. And here are the answers. 7 through 8, pause. Here are the answers. And 9 through 10, pause. Awesome. So that's the end of this video.